A word of warning, this podcast explores graphic and disturbing stories and includes some strong language. It therefore may not be suitable for our young listeners or other folks who may find it disturbing. Hello and welcome to True Crime News, the podcast covering high-profile and under-the-radar cases from across the country every week. I'm your host, Anna Garcia. Our case this week, can you imagine waking up to find your 17-year-old daughter is gone? Her parents have taken their tragedy and they have used it to change the laws in Indiana in just 3 months since their daughter's murder. We're recording this on Friday, July 24th of 2026. Our guest today is Allison Treasel, a criminal defense attorney based in Los Angeles, a legal analyst for many TV outlets and crime shows, a dear friend of the show, a personal friend of mine, and today she comes with an audience.
Yeah, first of all, thank you as always for having me, Anna. This is such an amazing platform. You're such an incredible journalist, and so it's always a pleasure for me. And thank you for welcoming my summer law clerks. They all have spent the summer with me, going to court, going to jail, watching cases, watching TV shows. They've never seen a podcast. And I said, the one and only Anna Garcia and her podcast is not only the best, it's the most educational, and it's factually correct. So this is how a podcast should be done. So thank you for welcoming them.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And for those of you who are listening and not watching, what you need to know is that behind Allison are some very professionally dressed young people, law students, and
college students. I always do a summer internship for college students who want to go to law school to give them an idea of what it would be like if they were an attorney.
Wow. This is fabulous. This is really, really wonderful. And thank you all. I love the fact you all look so professional. Honestly, this is lesson number 1. I have said this to all my interns. You dress for the job you want.
Anna, they come to the office or court in business attire every day. They show up on time. They've been incredible. The schools that they go to are so impressive, but the people that they are, I have been over the top impressed.
Wow. Well, welcome all of you. It's a pleasure to have you. We've never had an audience before.
This is our studio audience, Anna.
Oh my goodness. And you know what? I think it's honestly perfect that you're all college students, because our victim today was killed when she was 17 years old. She dreamed and had plans to go to college. So I think age-wise and situational-wise, you all will be able to relate to this case, which straddles 2 states, Ohio and Indiana. And this is a federal case, Allison, because the accused here was charged of taking the minor from Indiana to Ohio, and that's where authorities say that he killed her. However, he has not been charged with murder, But come on, police say he led them to her body, her remains.
We will get into it, and it's only a matter of time. And I want our listeners to know immediately that there is no statute of limitations for murder. So it's not like the local law enforcement or federal law enforcement cannot charge him with murder. The statute of limitations will not run out. And there's lots of reasons why they're going to have the federal case first.
Right. Okay, so a little bit of background here. 17-year-old Haley Busby of Indiana was found dismembered in a shallow grave in a park in Ohio. The high school student was missing almost a month before her remains were located, and the man who led police to her body is 39-year-old Tyler Thomas. Tyler is being held on federal charges related to illicit sexual conduct with a minor. Yesterday via email, Allison, there's a criminal complaint in this, and I warned you, and I said, "Out."
It is grisly. It is horrific.
It's awful. What is described in this criminal complaint about what this man has allegedly done to minors, what he has written to minors, It undoes me. And honestly, there was this one section I had to stop. I had to stop because reading it was not going to make me more informed.
Well, and the thing is that to believe that this man was if true, was preying on these children using programs that millions of kids use. And so one of the things as I was preparing for this that I kept thinking when I heard the term, and it was that bad guys no longer need to go to playgrounds to take children. They now can use digital playgrounds. And how horrific, how scary as a parent, as an adult who looks at these cases, and I think to myself, oh my goodness, is anyone really safe anywhere now? Well, how as a parent do you monitor what your children are doing when it's all on their phone?
And you can't. And that's the problem. And I'm sure that your students behind you, at some point have been frustrated by their parents, maybe being overbearing and very protective over things like, who are you talking to? And there is a reason for it. We don't want to be the bad guy, but what are you going to do? Because we know that there are predators out there.
Right. And, one of the things that we went through yesterday as we were preparing is that all the laws across the states, all the lawsuits across the states, and then internationally, what other countries are doing so that young children don't have access to social media.
Yeah. And I'm sorry if it sounds like, the adults are just trying to legislate you and take things from you. But until safety measures can be built into these systems, and I don't know how you do that, but we're going to have many more Haley Busbys. She is everyone's child.
Anna, I have a friend whose child was personally exploited on one of these sites by an older man.
Oh my God. Let's get into the details here.
Okay.
So Haley was your typical teenager, loved her family, did well in school. She worked part-time, waiting tables to make money, intended to go to college, and she loved playing video games. Totally get it. You want to zone out, you want to have some fun, and just check out for a little while. She lived with her dad and stepmom in Fortville, Indiana, and earlier this year, on the morning of January 6th of 2026, her parents wake up and they see that Haley has run away. She's taken her phone, a few belongings, and she's left a note telling her parents, don't look for me. So, of course, the parents call 911 right away.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Now, here's the thing, and this happens all the time. Especially, she is a minor, but she's so close to being 18. And just like, even though she's not an adult, like with so many adults who disappear or they think they run away, police are kind of slow in the beginning because they have to figure out if there's foul play.
Yeah, I want to talk about that for a second. We'll get into it more. But the idea, however, is that she's still a minor. She's still a minor. And if you're under 18, you have limited rights. Your parents still have custody of you. And I believe that things went horribly wrong here because she was not classified as an endangered person earlier on, that she was classified as a runaway. And there is a distinction. And there is a distinction in that law enforcement prioritizes cases. And when you're an endangered person, you get moved to top priority.
Correct.
And they act immediately. And I'm not saying this definitely happened, but I do believe that if you're a minor and you are missing and your parents don't know where you are, perhaps the law should change to reflect that and move it higher up on the list.
And that is what Haley's parents have
Correct.
tried to achieve in
Correct.
Indiana.
Correct.
That, the status, and it's not that police didn't investigate, it's just that it took a little while to figure out what had happened here. And then once they realized what had happened, they truly, without the police investigation, we would have never found this alleged predator.
Yeah, and let me be clear. I think that the local and federal law enforcement actually did a bang up job here. I
Yes.
mean, they followed every lead. They were very quick to get license plates, to get addresses, to get search warrants. I mean, the search warrants that were done here, the digital footprint that they got from search warrants, and then not only that, they followed the law where if they got a search warrant to a home and they found a digital device, they went as far as to get a search warrant for that digital device. So they did everything right. I just don't love the idea that when a minor goes missing, I believe that it should be top priority right away.
And one of the issues was, putting out an alert.
Yeah.
Had they been able to put out an alert, had she been classified in a way where she would have qualified for an
Amber
alert,
Alert.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would that have in any way changed the outcome of this? I'm not sure. We'll never know.
We'll never know. But I'll tell you what, moving forward, and really these parents have gone to extraordinary measures, and I hope this takes, becomes like a national groundswell, because once it was brought to my attention, I thought, well, this is something that is so important for every state.
Agreed. So let's get back to the case now, and we'll keep sprinkling in all these parts that make this case, not just important, but life-changing, really life-changing, especially because of what the parents have been able to accomplish. So this was a complicated case from the beginning, as we've just described. Now, police asked the parents immediately, what about her online activities? What did her friends know? They contact the friends. The friends didn't know that she had taken off. That, to me, is always a very bad sign, because if a kid, let's say, is having trouble at home, generally the friends know, and the friends will probably know about the plan to leave. That was not the case here.
Yeah.
She kept this guy a secret for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, when all of the likely people that they would have run to, right, dear friends, they don't know anything. They don't know where. They had no idea that she was missing. Very bad sign.
Very bad sign. So authorities then obtain a ping warrant for Haley's phone, and their perspective is like, every teenager has their phone 24/7. The fact that it's either on airplane mode, turned off, or perhaps destroyed, very bad sign. This is someone who either doesn't want to be found, or the person she is with does not want her to be found.
Right. I mean, that's where I turn to these interns and say, when is your phone ever off? Right. I mean, I know for you and I, we're working on our phone all the time. But I mean, for a 17-year-old to have the phone off, red flags.
Again, another red flag. So then police canvass the neighborhood, which is, of course, what they would have done anyway. They're looking for security video, ring doorbells, all of that. So they find one neighbor who says, well, you know what? I woke up at 3:30 in the morning because the dogs were barking. Generally, dogs bark for a reason. Okay, that didn't necessarily go anywhere other than it gave them a timeline. Something happened at that time. They go to another neighbor. That neighbor provides surveillance video of a dark-colored SUV that was traveling on the Busby Street at about 3:14 a.m. The SUV briefly dips out of the camera view, returns around 3:19 a.m., and 2 minutes later at 3:21 a.m., the other neighbor's dog can be heard barking, and again, the SUV departs. This is all very important.
And that's good police work, right?
Yes.
That's really good police work. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there were other vehicles, but that was the vehicle that police.
And they're honing in quickly.
Absolutely. And again, time is of the essence, because whether or not classified that way, I think your gut tells you something is very, very wrong here. And she is really in danger.
Right.
So then police, use the timeline of what they're finding through the neighbors with her phone, meaning they managed to get some of her iCloud information, and the last outgoing message was at 3:04 a.m. Kind of all lines up, and that she disconnected from the home router's Wi-Fi at about 3:05 to 3:10. Again, narrowing down the time that they need to be looking for this vehicle there and elsewhere.
Right.
So, it was Haley's parents who managed their best to get into her Snapchat messages, which
Right.
is not always easy, especially with Snapchat. And then that's when they discover she's been communicating with an adult male. This is a very bad sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, my God, it is just so upsetting. So again, as we've said, and we're going to go through how police figured this out, but for everyone to put a pin in it right now is you need to understand that for a year, Haley had been communicating with this guy. And so she would have been, what, like 16 when they first met on a gaming platform. And then he says to her, let's move the conversation into various encrypted apps so they can.
Right. And according to law enforcement and the prosecutor in this case, there is some way to connect this Roblox, which we'll talk about, with Discord. And so it's a pretty easy transition where you can then start having these private conversations.
Yeah. Always a bad sign. Let's, go offline somewhere to have a conversation. And of course, the conversations were just beyond horrific. The FBI believes that the intent here was not only for him to sexually abuse her, but he was also going to create child sex abuse materials.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I actually think that according to law enforcement, that he made that statement that he intended to produce child pornography.
Police say that they found on his phone videos and pictures of Haley in the Airbnb that he rented, and they believe either there, she may have been killed there, or somewhere else, and we will get to those details. But he was pretty clear about what his intention was. And I gotta say, Allison, I'm actually shocked that he took police to where he buried her.
With his lawyer. We will get into that, but I kept saying, wait a minute, this guy denies killing her, right? He denies killing her, speaks to them, then lawyers up. And then how does he end up showing them where her remains are? And then I did a deep dive, and he's with the lawyer, and he brings them to the remains, which, as you know and I know, that is highly unusual.
Mm-hmm. It's very rare. And
which loops back to, wait, what do you mean? He brings them to the remains, he's not charged with murder? But that's why I say stay tuned, because those charges are coming.
And his defense attorney has said, not quite admitting other things, but saying he may have done some, and this is not the right word, some unsavory, disturbing things. But he did not kill her. But here's the problem. She was dismembered. So how in the world do you dismember someone if you don't kill them?
Well, here's the thing with that, okay? And this may be why this may be one of the delays in charging them. You do need to have manner or cause of death, right? Mm-hmm. And did she die? Did she die by accident? Did she die of some type of natural cause? And then he dismembered her after the fact. Probably. You're making that Anna Garcia face at me. I know. And maybe that's improbable, but law enforcement has all the time in the world to make sure they get it right, And so once they have and it was pending at the time, this body's been dismembered. So you want to be absolutely certain, manner and cause, that wasn't an accident, wasn't natural causes, it wasn't from a drug overdose or whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And once you have that, you can proceed. So that may be one of the reasons that he hasn't been charged with murder yet. And is it a great explanation? Oh, I dismembered her after she died, but I didn't kill her.
Right. And it is possible. She could have died, but here's, okay. And I'm always really a stickler about this. one could say, oh, maybe she died during a sex act. Well, hold on a second. She's a minor. It cannot be consensual under any circumstances. This is sexual assault.
Anna, we went over this case yesterday, spent way more time than we should have, an hour talking exactly about this with the interns. So I tried to explain.
The interns don't agree with me?
No. What it was that it's very hard to explain that if you're not the age of consent, okay, so in most states it's 18. If you're 17 years old and 350 days, you cannot legally consent to most things. You just can't. So even though she voluntarily left with him, which seems to be the case, even if she voluntarily leaves with him and she consents to having sex with him, she cannot consent. Period. End of story. So even if she agrees to be filmed, unless she is of the age of consent, there is no such thing. It is essentially a strict liability crime.
Okay, so this was not a man who had, and stay with me on this, who had professed his love. He had finally found the love of his life. There was an age difference. No, you read the words. And the things that he said to the 10th grader, encouraging her to harm herself and to dare to say to this child, I fantasize about you harming yourself while we are in a sex act?
Anna, I will tell you that none of them, all of them were aghast.
Yes.
All of them said this is horrific conduct. Yes. Now, again, I'm going to say if he did it, allegedly, right? If he did it, but it is horrific. The words, the fantasies, the ideations, the fact that he had groomed her, he lured her, and then he says, I carried her across state lines for the purpose of child pornography. That's what makes this a federal case, right? That's what makes it across the
Yes, the transportation across state lines.
Right.
And then, the having and the production of child pornography additionally. Okay, let's get back on track because I feel like we keep diving off because there's just so much going on here. About 10 days later, police officers finally see, they go through license plate readers from the Busby neighborhood, and they're able to track down that black SUV that we talked about. So it was a vehicle described like this, a 2014 Acura that was registered to a woman in Indiana. And she's identified only as Jane Doe in the
I know she is, but I am so curious, Anna. Is this a relative of his? Is this, she gives up his name and his phone number right quick.
She does. And
yeah.
I found that interesting. And she tells the cops, oh, I'm in Florida, but I'm letting so-and-so, Tyler Thomas, drive my car. And then I guess she contacts him and says, were you in Indiana?
Then tells the police, she tells the police, oh, he was there. Here's his full name. Here's his phone number.
Right. Thank God. Right. Because that saves some time for everyone. And I think your spidey sense is picking up on something.
Well, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's confirmed that police want to talk to this Tyler Thomas, who's 39 years old. According to police, Tyler traveled overnight from January 5th to 6th from Columbus, Ohio to Haley's home in Fortville, Indiana. Tyler then returned to the Columbus area that afternoon before eventually making his way to an Airbnb where he remained until 9:25 a.m. on the 7th. Here's what's really important. Leaves the Airbnb and goes to a trailhead, and he's there until 2:15 in the afternoon. He's there for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
Is he hiking? I don't think so.
Yeah. That immediately when I read that, I said, how big is that search going to be there?
Right. So what will be interesting is that his data provides that, but it's pretty much where he took police to. So it kind of all is,
Right.
in case he changes his story. I don't know how he's going to change his story. I led police here and she's...
He initially, they read him as rights. He initially starts talking to them and they place him the night that she leaves in the area. They say, were you there around the area? And he says, yes, I was there touring apple orchards.
Who tours an apple orchard
I don't know.
at 3 in the morning?
I thought, buddy, I mean, you got to come up with something a little bit better than apple orchards. Yeah.
Is that crazy?
Yeah. And it turns out that it's the middle of the night, right? The barking dog is like 3:30 in the morning and he's touring apple orchards.
Unbelievable. So,
Yeah.
you know what? I think we should like make a book someday of all the insane things that people say to police, like all the crazy lies, and just string them all out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unbelievable. He went from apple orchards to pointing them to the body, but okay.
And
Yeah.
a suspected killer.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
So, Tyler did apparently allow officers to look at his phone. Eventually he says, yeah, I did go there to pick up Haley, but she wanted me to drop her off on the side of the road somewhere in Ohio. Really? Really?
The problem is that when you start spewing these lies, right? And Anne, I know you know you're going to be upset with me when I say this, but my goodness, I mean, if you're going to, these tales are not helping you. I mean, there is a right to remain silent. These guys never, ever utilize it. They never utilize it. And then they start telling tales.
Right. Right. And then that always is used later on and in court.
Of course.
Why did you lie? And sometimes people, depending on the crime, sometimes the lie kind of makes sense, meaning it's like, oh, I see. Okay.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of times, and this is so interesting for the listeners, a lot of times when they're lying, they weave in some of the truth.
Yes.
Right. So they unconsciously are telling part of what actually happened. And so an astute officer doing an interrogation will be able to pick up on the breadcrumbs that the person is actually telling, because they normally will weave in a bit of the truth, and it's probably unconsciously done. Right. And so they're giving themselves away, even though they're trying to lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he admits to picking her up.
Yeah.
Even though, even though we see the car, we don't see him. So
Right.
An argument can be made. Okay, well, first of all, it's not his car and we don't see him.
Right.
So you prove to us that he picked her up.
Right.
Of course,
Right.
Then you'd have the GPS data, which would indicate that he was there. It's interesting, isn't it? Haley's phone is turned off, but his is not.
Stupidity, ignorance. I don't know. I don't know.
So Tyler allows officers to look at his phone, and then they see the Discord messages with Haley. And then, then Tyler says, well, we were just playing video games, including Roblox, and that Haley asked him to pick her up and that he complied. So it's like, it's all Haley's idea. I was just helping out the girl. Really?
I mean, what is a grown man? Let's be honest here, okay? Most grown men are not coming to the rescue of somebody in another state, okay, a minor in another state, unless it's for nefarious purposes. I mean, that's a general rule, that to me says, oh, this guy's lying. He's up to no good.
So eventually officers poke lots of holes in Tyler's story about where I dropped her off, said I dropped her off somewhere in Eaton. Well, that of course was not true. Finally, they also confirm with the Airbnb owner that Tyler had stayed there with another person, had a reservation. So you have to understand there are police in two jurisdictions here.
Right.
You have the police in Indiana, and then you have the police in Ohio, where authorities believe the murder took place, and they're the ones serving the search warrants for all the locations where she may have been.
I'll tell you what I did like very much about the law enforcement activity here. It seemed that they were working as a cohesive group. It seemed that they both shared information, that when federal law enforcement got involved, all of these agencies, and that's a very big deal, Anna, as you know, that you don't want one agency in a different state not communicating with another, especially when there's crime scenes in both places, right? And they're sharing information. And so, the barking dog and the plate reader in one state, and then the Airbnb investigation in the other, I was so impressed at how cohesive these law enforcement agencies were. And this is in a pretty short period of time. I mean, all of this is going on within a week. They've got a lot of information.
They do.
Yeah.
And it would be almost a month before they would find her remains. And that,
Right.
of course, because Tyler took them there, although they would have gone to that location simply because his GPS showed on his phone that he was there for 5 hours. Like,
Right,
what are you
but
doing here?
There was snow, there was hard dirt. Him pinpointing it certainly made their job a lot easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So police in Ohio got a search warrant for his home. As you said, Tyler waived his constitutional rights and consented to an interview with officers at the Columbus Police Department. This would have been now January 18th. She disappeared on the 6th. According to Tyler, he and Haley played these video games on Roblox and League of Legends over a year prior to her disappearance. Officers, asked Tyler, well, you knew she was a minor. And he kind of like skirts that. Well.
And then he's like, well, then I learned she was close to being, she was going to be 18 soon.
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 Yeah. Okay. So finally he does admit he picks up Haley and that they had actually considered doing this closer to Christmas time. So this plan was in the works for some time and they pushed it back to January. Not sure why.
Which, by the way, I don't want to underscore the importance of that, right?
Okay.
So when a murder case or these cases go and you're talking about premeditation, and then you're piecing together things like, well, this had been in the works for a while, right? This was not just sort of a spur of the moment thing. And he said, oh, well, I was planning on picking her up a time before. I mean, if I'm the prosecutor, I'm using that in premeditation.
That makes sense. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, now, this is what I find interesting. When he's being questioned, he's telling police that he's certain that Haley is still alive. It's all part of this like half truth, half lies that he's concocting here. And then if the officers say, well, would you tell me if she were dead and you had killed her? And they're like, well, no. He says, no, I wouldn't tell you that.
So, Anna, I've been doing this 30 years, and I've never heard a statement. No, I wouldn't tell you. I mean, you either say, right? Have you heard any defendant say something like that? I thought that was a very strange confession-ish, not like it was. No, I wouldn't tell you. I didn't want it to get back to her family.
But it kind of sounds truthful to me. Of course I wouldn't tell you if I killed her. It's like, stuck in between the lies are some truths.
Right.
And that to me is like, well, of course you wouldn't tell.
Right.
That's what's so confusing about this guy.
Right.
So, all right. He starts shutting down now. Tyler's shutting down because he doesn't like where this questioning is going. Oh, I'm sorry, Tyler. Did somebody hurt your feelings over there? Oh, my God. All right. So then they continue to search Tyler's phone, and that's when it gets unbelievably dark. Dark, as in the federal complaint. So he was communicating with several minors, and, he was flat out telling these minors that he wanted what was it? Teen young meat something. Again, I'm not going to go into the details of the
It's horrific, but I believe there was some communication with someone that was like between the ages, or some photo between the ages of 7 and 10 years old.
It's just
There's some, yeah, horrific,
awful, awful.
horrific.
And I really want to get to, even though we spoke about this, the young girl who was apparently cutting herself, hurting herself. The fact that he would encourage her to
I mean,
continue.
this is like boogeyman stuff, right? I mean, this is the stuff where it is as a parent, it's your worst nightmare. And then people like this, if he did it, allegedly, this is your worst nightmare. It's your worst nightmare.
It's so awful. And then the graphic pictures and the videos that the police say that they found on his phone that show Haley in these incredibly compromised and graphic positions that look just like the furniture in the Airbnb.
Right. I mean, there is, in terms of the strength of the evidence in this case, those pictures that place both of them at the scene, and the bedding and the furniture in the Airbnb, that's pretty strong. That's pretty strong evidence. I mean, obviously, it's shocking, and it's just awful to see. But in terms of strength of the prosecution's case, it's to me, it's almost stronger than a confession.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Those are the images. There, you can't dispute that, and you can't dispute the fact that he took authorities to where she was buried. You cannot dispute these things.
Right. I mean, and then you've also got the DNA evidence. So,
Right.
yeah.
So on February 1st, just short of a month, Tyler leads authorities to Haley's body. The only reason he could do that is because he buried her. I mean, there's really no other explanation for that.
And he does it with the lawyer. And I wonder, Anna, if there was some discussion that we don't know about, as to maybe taking the death penalty off the table, if he leads them to the body. As a defense attorney, by trade, I think that maybe a conversation was had where they say, look, we will show you where the body is, so that the family can finally have a little peace in that, if you take the death penalty off the table. I don't know that happened, but that would not be unusual.
No, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be at all. And so many times prosecutors have tried this. And as you said at the top, very few defendants ever reveal where the body is, even after they're convicted, even
Right.
after all their appeals are exhausted. They
Right.
still won't tell.
Yeah. Yeah, and it leaves these families in just horrible limbo, and this reoccurring nightmare. I mean, even more so because they haven't been able to give them a proper funeral.
Yeah. So 3 days later, Tyler is charged federally with sexual exploitation of a minor and travel in interstate commerce with an intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct. Additionally, he has been charged in Franklin County with pandering, sexually oriented material involving a minor, and tampering with evidence. Tyler's attorney says that he will enter not guilty pleas. He says his client has been cooperative, that he helped police find Haley, and that he told reporters again that he may have done some despicable things, but kill Haley he did not.
Okay, the cooperation's not here. The cooperation's not going to help him that much. Okay, we talked a little bit about it. They may have taken the death penalty off eventually, or something like that. These are as horrific of facts as one can imagine. One of the charges alone, he's looking at 30 years. And you at some point you tack on a murder charge, which I do believe will happen, which is a life in prison case. This guy's going to spend, in my opinion, if convicted, decades and decades and decades of his life in prison.
I hope so.
If
I
convicted.
do. Yeah, if convicted. I hope so. I hope so. So while all of this is going on, Haley's parents have been working with lawmakers in Indiana and Ohio to protect all the other Haleys out there. On April 1st, Indiana's governor signed 2 bills into law that were spearheaded by Haley's tragedy, Haley's laws. Law number 1, it will now, and this has been signed in Indiana, it will now require teens, kids under 15 and under, so 16 and under, but you must be 15. It's one of those things. I kept rereading it and they were very specific about this. You will now have to get parental consent in order to be on a social media or gaming platform. And the age verification will work this way. You will now have to be linked to your parents' account.
Right.
And you know what? Here's what I like about that. Back there, you all are going to hate this. But what I like about it is one of the biggest things that parents always say, here's the other thing. I'm going to tell the young people behind you. You may think that we, your parents, want to know everything going on in your life. Like there are certain things we really don't want to know, right? Okay, that come with certain ages and stuff like that. It's not that we want to be snoopy. We just want to protect you. So what I like about this is that now the parents can monitor the account because their account is linked to it. Do you all think that that's too intrusive?
No.
I think that what are they going to say, right?
They're afraid to say no to me. I understand.
But I had them do this research, and I want to share this because I don't use Roblox. I don't know enough about it. But Anna, the stats about Discord is that there are 690 million registered users. Okay. 259 million are active monthly users, and the average age is 16. Okay. 144 million daily active users on Roblox, and about 40% of the daily users are under the age of 13. So,
wow.
That to me, the reach here is unbelievable. And we talk about a digital playground for these predators. Are we doing a whack-a-mole when we try to impose these laws? Because I had these wonderful interns start to look at these laws for me. Indiana enacted a law, Arkansas, New Jersey, Texas, Kentucky, Nebraska, Louisiana, and Tennessee, Oklahoma, outside this country, Australia's banned social media for children under 16.
Yes.
France has banned social media for children under 15. Turkey, no social media for children under 15. Malaysia and the UAE bars children under 16 and 15 for registering or having social media. China does something the same. And then the UK just announced this. So I think the trend, whether kids like it or not, the trend is we need to protect these kids. They don't even realize the dangers out there. And how do we do that? Do we ban social media entirely? Because self-reporting and age verification, I don't know if that's enough.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's so complicated, especially when you bring in personal liberties and freedoms of speech. But we're talking about minors here. And look, I'll be honest, I follow my godson's now 18, just turned 18, but I was following my godson and goddaughter on social media, and my son. I like to know, I don't really care. How can I put this? Do you know what I'm saying?
But you and I actually have a life, so we don't spend all day, every day checking the personal likes, dislikes of our children. But by the way, God forbid, so if I haven't heard from them for a minute, I want to know where they are.
Exactly.
If it's been hours and hours and I've been reaching out and there's nothing. Thank God we have this. Thank God we have this.
Yes.
But I'm not interested in who they think is cute today. I'm not real interested in that. But I am interested in case there's something goes wrong.
Yes.
I want to add one more really interesting statistic. And that is that Roblox reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, showing 675 suspected child sex exploitation cases in 2019, and that number grew to more than 13,000 in 2023.
Yeah. I don't,
So it's real.
it is real. And Haley's murder is proof of this.
Right.
It is proof of this. And this is the worst case scenario. And again, with all the young people behind you, it is so hard to be a parent. We are scared all the time.
Right. And you want to strike a balance between, allowing your children. I mean, you don't want to shelter them so much that when they get out into the real world, they are so naive that they fall prey anyway. But it's a very tough balance. It's a very, very tough balance. And I'll tell you, my heart, for Haley's parents, just horrific. And the fact that they are using their grief to make change. They're turning their voices into something that really changes the law. That's pretty incredible. But this case is, it was tough to read. It was tough to get into the facts of this case. But as always, I hope that what you and I have discussed today, if it saves or helps anybody, it's my honor to cover it.
I know they seem like really special people. Like it makes me wonder, like how amazing Haley was. Yeah. Right? This is her family. How wonderful were these people that they can do this? Let's talk about the second law.
Okay.
Haley. So the other law. This is interesting. This goes back to what you were talking about in an endangered person. So the other law enhances what they call their silver alert. And this is kind of like an amber alert, but it's not, the amber alert is about a child who's just been abducted. And getting the information out via text and on highways so people can be on the lookout either for that child. It's about trying to save a child that's just been abducted. Those are the parameters. So a silver alert, sometimes you have an endangered person like a senior with Alzheimer's who's been gone for 12 hours and they need help. So that's kind of what a silver alert is. So now in Indiana, they are expanding a silver alert to include runaways because she, again, was 17 and they thought, oh, did she leave of her own accord? And now police will have the ability to classify runaway cases as endangered, and it broadens the definition so you can get the alerts out. I think that's great.
I do. And I also have that the bill proposes additional child safety measures, including creating a statewide security camera registry, requiring grooming awareness education in schools, which
really important
is great, and establishing what they call a pink alert system for missing children who do not qualify for an amber alert. So I think that that's really good. I mean, that to me is making a difference, especially the educational part of it.
Yes. And the fact that they accomplished this in 3 months, that they got it through the state house and they got the governor's signature is extraordinary. Yeah. In these political times, it's extraordinary. And now there is a congressman from Indiana who's introduced a bill in Congress. Nothing will move that swiftly there. But he wants to expand the definition of an amber alert, which, as we said, is limited to an abduction, to include high-risk situations beyond the abduction of a child. Also, that would be great.
Really incredible. Yeah. I think that will make a big difference.
So Tyler remains behind bars in the Franklin County Jail. He's on being held on $1.5 million bond. Now, this is interesting, and I'm curious. I would really love for you to explain this. So Indiana legislators, they're the ones who have filed the lawsuit against Roblox and Discord?
They have, and I will tell you a bit about it because We actually went into it. And essentially, they are saying that technology and social media companies have a responsibility to prioritize safety and the well-being of children who use their platforms. And far too often, families are left navigating dangerous online environments without transparency, protection, and the urgency they deserve. Parents have a right to make informed decisions, and these lawsuits are that they are deceptive in their they're violating the Consumer Sales Act. They're using, they know that their platforms are being used to lure and groom underage children, and that their age verification systems just aren't strong enough. And by the way, these are lawsuits. These are lawsuits basically all over the country. I mean, where the state is stepping in and saying, you need to stop these practices. And they're asking for monetary damages, penalties of up to $5,000 for knowing violation, and to reimburse the Attorney General for their investigative losses and costs. And $5,000 may not seem like a lot, but that's per occurrence. And when I'm talking about the fact that there's millions of users, that's a lot of occurrences.
It is. But you know what frustrates me is a few years ago, I did a podcast with Dr. Laura Berman and her husband, and their son, Sammy, died of a drug overdose because the drugs that he ordered on Snapchat were laced with fentanyl. And they have fought.
Wait, was that a case local to Los Angeles?
Yes.
Oh, he went to a local high school. What a horrible situation. I didn't know how it ended. So what happened?
So sadly, he dies from the fentanyl poisoning. And then they have tried to sue Snapchat and everyone because they wanted to know who sold him the drugs. If in other cases, especially celebrities, we hold dealers accountable for the death, why can't other dealers be held accountable for our children? And they have had one roadblock after another, and it is heartbreaking. They've tried so hard to pass Sammy's Law and get things changed. And I just, and maybe that's because that was a few years back, and maybe things have changed now. But the pain has not stopped.
But I do, I'll tell you, I do think, and I've told people this for so many years, the law, it lags behind technology. It always has. Imposing laws and creating new laws always lags behind. It's an unfortunate thing, but it's the truth. And so, but they're changing. They're changing. And one example that is very different than this case is that, a few years ago, if you killed somebody in the state of California while speeding, and you didn't have drugs or alcohol in your system, but the only violation was speeding, they would have never considered charging you as a second-degree murder ever. That has changed.
Yes.
That has changed. So things do change, and you're right. The law moves at the speed of molasses. I understand that. And there was these initial arguments with social media sites that, look, we're just hosting the discussion. We're not part of the discussion. We're just sort of the platform, and, we can't police every conversation that goes on. But lawsuit after lawsuit and victory after victory is showing, no, you bear some of the responsibility and the burden and the liability. So things are changing, and I think it will only continue to do so.
I hope so. So I have a question here for you, Miss Allison. Would any of your students like to talk about something that they've heard or about this case, that they have something they'd like to share with us?
I think that will be a yes.
I love this. For those of you who are listening, we're having one of our college interns step into the chair to talk to us about this case. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Baron.
And what college do you go to?
I go to San Diego State.
And you want to be an attorney?
I do.
Okay, so what was it about this case, about Haley Busby's case, that either struck you or you think is important for us to understand?
So, a lot of the research that I did pertained to the legislation that other countries have passed regarding social media, which Allison mostly covered. But what I thought was really interesting about the Indiana lawsuit was them accusing these platforms of purposefully marketing towards child safety and marketing themselves as really caring about children and catering to children, and then knowingly allowing these predators to access their platforms. And these are things that there's evidence of them knowing these situations happening on their platforms and doing nothing about them. The age verification process hasn't been updated, regardless of these lawsuits. So that was what I thought was worthy of note.
And I'm just curious, you've heard Allison and I talking about this, really coming from it as parents and the panic that we have. And I mean, how do you, as a young person, how do you explain to us or reconcile your privacy, your growing up, your experimentation with the pressures of parents who are worried about you?
Yeah, I feel like growing up, I feel like all of us probably experienced this with being told about all of these situations and not inciting fear amongst us, but just warnings of what could happen to you. And I have a little brother who's 13 and is on Roblox and on Discord. And I find myself to be more concerned because I feel like parents don't know the extent of activity that could go on these platforms. So knowing some of these things that could happen, like I, as an older sibling, feel that fear, probably not to the extent that you guys do, but to some degree, I do understand where that fear comes from. And it is so important to educate these young people on the dangers of these social media platforms and the transitional factors that go from Roblox to more private browsers. So I get it. You do need to go through all of these motions and explain to everyone what dangers could go on, regardless if that takes a little bit away from their privacy on these platforms.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anna, there's one that I actually think is so important for our listeners. And that is in our conversation, one of our interns, Jesse, was talking about how Roblox, there's different sites, and that Discord was not the one that he was most concerned about, that they really weren't dark web stuff. Mm-hmm. And so if he could just speak for a minute about ones that parents should sort of really keep an eye on, or give me, because I didn't know enough about it. Is that something you want to discuss?
Sure, let's do it. We'll keep it quick. I know it's a runaway podcast, Allison. Runaway podcast.
It always is. It always is. All right, Jesse. And they may edit it out. They may include it. Who knows?
Yes, we don't know. Who knows what Will's going to do? Hi, what's your name?
How are you? My name is Jesse.
Okay, and what school do you go to?
I just graduated from CU Boulder.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so what is it that you're concerned about?
I think the encryption has a really big play in pretty much all of these platforms. And one specifically that, when speaking to Allison, I didn't really think that Discord played such a big part in this, because I was actually completely unaware as to, how many people, especially of a young age, were on it. And how the amount of older people on it is so disproportionate to the younger audience. So an app that I really kind of have concern with is called Telegram.
Yes.
If you know Telegram, the level of encryption and there's lots of history of child exploitation,
yes,
drug deals, dark web situations, black market stuff. And that's really where I assume that all of this kind of conversation happened, because of the level of encryption there. So I was really surprised to see that Discord was the website that this all occurred on, where I personally know of some other websites like Telegram that play, in my opinion, a much larger risk.
And I have to admit to you, Jesse, that having done this podcast for so many years in covering these cases, Telegram comes up all the time in criminal complaints. And if it isn't necessarily to lure a young person, it's in the commission of a crime.
Right.
So, my God, I just feel like we're completely under attack here. Just completely under attack. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate it. Okay, let's get our Runaway podcast back on track.
You know me, Anna. I mean, I can't help it.
Well, I didn't know you were showing up with an audience, but
Well,
okay. So, all right. So we need to transition now. So, I think the last thing I want to leave everybody thinking about is that Haley Busby is everyone's child, and that's how I want to end this discussion. To remember her and to remember she is a child of all of us.
Yeah. And if I can add, the one takeaway I had is, these parents have done everything. They've done everything. And, my heart breaks for them. But it reminds me, just everybody keep checking in with your child. Keep checking in. How are you doing? Let's talk a little bit about their mental health. Let's see what they're, and if you pay for that phone, right, you pay for the data. Don't be afraid to do a deep dive.
All right, it is time for our comment section. But as part of this Runaway podcast, we're doing things differently. Our producer, Will Updike, is here, and he has just made the call from the control booth that he doesn't want to do our regular comment section. What do you want to do, Will?
Well, we've had these fine folks. They're dressed up. They're camera ready. They've been sitting here all podcast. I'd love to, if they're willing, come on, tell the listeners a little bit where they went to school, an interesting fact about themselves, and maybe why they're interested in the law. I think that'd be a lot of fun. This segment was just gonna be devoted to Jimothy the raccoon, which, if you haven't heard about this story, it is a raccoon from the Seattle area. He has a very short spine due to a sort of some would call it a deformity. I would say it's differently abled, but because of this, he has these very weird proportions where his limbs are all very long, but his spine is very short. This was captured by an Instagram user named Clever Girl, but he's really captivated a lot of people in the local Seattle area and really across the world. There's murals painted of him. Different teams have used him as their mascot, including the Mariners. So yeah, if you somehow have missed Jimothy the raccoon, look him up. But we have all these folks here. It feels like a shame to not hear a little bit about them after they've heard us speaking for the last hour. So let's amazing.
Do it. And by the way, I didn't know anything about the raccoon. So while
look up Jimothy.
While they talk, I'm going to look up the raccoon. All right. Here we go.
Okay.
Side.
Who wants to go up first? We can
Danielle.
just go left to right. All right.
Now, for those of you who are listening and not watching, Allison has to get out of the chair and let the college student get into the chair for this. Okay, who do we have here?
Hi, I'm Danielle. I go to Vanderbilt University.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So tell us an interesting fact about yourself. Can be anything. You don't have to dig too deep.
I am a big reader. I love reading books. I actually read during COVID, I think over 200 books since we had so much free time.
Oh my gosh. So fiction, nonfiction, what are these?
All over
books?
the place. Okay. I love going nonfiction, fiction route. I just love reading in general. So yeah.
That's incredible. And so what year are you in college right now?
I'm going into my senior year, which is really exciting. I'm super.
Oh, congratulations. And what made you want to study the law?
I just think it's really interesting to know about the world, and there's just so much into the law that applies to every place. It can go into any job sector. I also think it's just fascinating that you learn all these super specific things that you thought you would never know. With Allison, we do a lot of reading of penal codes and stuff like that, and I think it's just really fascinating that when you read the language, there's things that you'd be like, oh my gosh, that can change the way a case can go, and it just changes everything. I think it's super fascinating with that.
That's great. Is there an area that you're particularly interested of the law, or still kind of figuring it out?
Still kind of figuring it out. I think this internship has been super eye-opening to what I want to do. And I just think it's been an amazing opportunity. And I thank Allison for that.
Oh, thank you.
She made you go to the jail?
I know.
Yes, we did that literally this week. It was amazing.
The prison and the jail.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. Not what I thought it was going to be at all. The jail
It was worse, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the jail
Yeah.
are completely different and they're super different experiences. And it was super interesting to talk to people there as well, deputies, clients and stuff like that was super fascinating.
Mm-hmm. All right, who's next in the chair?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Emmy, and I go to the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yes.
That's great. So tell us an interesting fact about yourself.
Gosh. I love to bake.
Oh, okay.
I grew up baking. Me and my mom would always bake. She was a big baker, and then I started doing it when I was little, and yeah.
Do you have a
Did you bake for
specialty?
Allison?
No, I'm not. This weekend.
outrageous.
This weekend, I'll bring something to the office Monday
Okay,
morning.
amazing.
Right.
So I want to hear more about the visit to prison and to jail. What did you think of
I
that?
mean, they're just such unique experiences that not a lot of people get to experience, obviously. I think especially going to the prison this week, it was just such an eye-opening experience and meeting with our client. It's just, I mean, I feel like this is one reason why I want to go into the law because there's so many people out there that are in prison or in jail that deserve justice and are there for many different reasons, but we're the people that can help them or get them out and stuff like that. And I think that's really cool and really inspiring things to work on.
Yeah, we're all about justice on this podcast in its
We are.
many forms.
Yeah, exactly. And I hate to like push you through, but we got to get to everybody. So who's next in the chair? We wish you the best of luck.
We're speed interviewing over here.
We have to. It's a speed podcast.
Hi, I'm Lily. I go to the University of Texas, and I'm going to be
Oh,
a
wow.
sophomore. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Wow. So cool. Yeah.
So what's your interesting fact?
I guess my interesting fact is I've always been really interested in like true crime shows like Dateline and stuff and podcasts. I've always listened to those.
You better say 2020.
And 2020. They're all
Yes, thank you.
people.
Yes, I do work for 2020, so we appreciate you acknowledging them. So, all right. So you're a young person and you're into these podcasts. Why do you like the podcast experience maybe different than you would a docuseries?
I think it kind of goes in depth, and you can also maybe like go like a little runaway and kind of get into more like away from the facts to see what builds up to the case and what plays a role in it. And I think especially with this internship, I've seen like the way the justice system works and how it's all interchangeable and it all has to work together for anything to function. And I think kind of like with this podcast, we saw like how the laws were changing in Haley's case and how that works directly with law enforcement and everything. You see how it all has to work together for.
It's really important that you said context. You kind of want to understand the case. It may not necessarily be part of the law or the application of the law, but if you don't have the context of what happened and what led to it, you don't have an understanding really of the whole thing. And I think that's so important, is the context of what led to a crime.
Yes.
And we talk about that almost every week. Like prosecutors never have to supply motive, but it's so important for a jury.
They want to know, like, why would you do this?
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. So is true crime what got you into the law then?
Yes, I think it always just fascinated me and seeing how it works. And then I think this summer I've really gotten a firsthand experience, and it's blown my mind and really exceeded any expectations I came in having.
Wow,
That's
Allison. Thank you. And good luck. All right, who's next? Jesse's back.
Yeah.
Me again. Okay, Jesse, remind us where you went to school or are going
I
to
just
school.
graduated from CU Boulder.
That's it. Okay. Will?
All right. Tell us an interesting fact about yourself.
An interesting fact about myself is in my free time, I love to work on cars and go fishing.
Oh, wow. All right. Nice. And what got you into the law?
I actually grew up around the law. My dad is a PI attorney here in LA, and
Oh,
Just growing up around that, and as much as is in our household, I plan on implementing that into my life as well.
what do you
That's
want to do? What
incredible.
part of the law do you want to study or become?
Yeah, I'd actually like to practice PI as well, just like my dad.
That's so
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah, really, really cool. Wow. So, what's next for you since you're a graduate? Or, I mean, what kind of fun summer are you having hanging out with Allison in prisons?
You're looking at my fun summer right now. Going to be studying for the LSAT and heading off to law
Oh,
school.
wow.
Yeah,
Cool. We wish you the best, Jesse.
thank you. I appreciate it.
All righty. Okay, who's next in the chair? We should require all of our co-hosts and guests to bring friends with them.
The more the merrier.
Hi, who are you?
Hello, I'm Braden. I'm going to be a freshman at NYU in the fall.
Oh
Oh, wow.
my. Okay, so you just graduated high school. Where'd you go to high school?
Yes, I went to Syracuse.
Anna, I was so impressed because he did his interview in a suit and tie in his car at high school, and that's why we took him,
Oh my
despite
God.
the fact that he was still in high school.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. You have no idea. I love that. And what high school did you graduate from?
I went to Sierra Canyon, a local LA
Yeah,
high.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Wow. Impressive. I'm so
So,
glad you wore a suit and tie and did it. Honestly, this makes me so happy. Go on, Will.
yes, tell us an interesting fact about yourself.
I'm an athlete, so I'm going to be playing baseball at NYU for the next 4 years. So super.
Wow.
So, my godson is starting NYU in the fall too.
That's amazing.
I'm going to connect you guys. He needs a
Please
friend
do.
there.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Isn't that hilarious?
And
All in
what
need of friends when we start there, so that's amazing.
and what got you into the law, especially so early?
I think wanting to make a difference in the world and it's already paid off. And some of these cases have been super rewarding, getting to see them from beginning to end and getting to make a difference in these people's lives. And I don't want to get into any of these cases, but we're not the ones trying them, but there's a lot of work that goes into them. And when we get a win in some of these cases and how thankful and appreciative some of these people are and getting to earn their freedom has been incredible.
Yeah, life changing for a lot of folks that you work with.
Thank you and best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Oh, hello again.
I'm Baron. I'm going to go into my last year at San Diego State University.
Fabulous.
Wow. And we heard a little bit of your legal analysis. What's an interesting fact about yourself?
I guess I do interpreting for the American Bar Association.
What does that
wow.
mean?
So, yeah.
They send me letters from people that are incarcerated that are in Farsi, and I translate them to English and then other way also.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love this.
Wow.
Really? And so did you have any special qualifications that you had to meet? Because obviously you need to translate this accurately.
Right, I do. But I think it goes through different processes, and they have a bunch of people that are my age that do it for different languages. There's no certification or anything, but just making sure that you're fluent in both languages and that you can read and write.
Wow.
Fascinating. Wow. And so the letters that are sent to you, are they for an ongoing case, or how does that, what kind of stuff do you get?
It's just to kind of make sure that even people who are in prison or convicted have rights to the legal system and understand the rights that they have. And just because they don't speak the language of the country that they're in, they're still entitled to their rights. Just make sure that they understand what they're entitled to.
I love that.
Wow. That's so cool. So what got you interested in the law?
I grew up, my grandpa was an international lawyer, so I guess that kind of trickles into wanting to do the translating and stuff. And I just saw how many people he was able to help and the laws that he was able to uphold. And that kind of goes into this internship, and it's just really cool to see, again, the impact that you have on people's lives and to just truly make a difference. And I think that's really fascinating and cool.
Wow. What a group here, Allison.
I
There isn't
know.
a slacker among them.
I told you, it's incredible.
Thank you. Best of luck to you. All right, who's next in the chair?
So you can only hear my voice, but Alina, who's next, has worked for me for over a year. And when I tell you superstar, Anna and Will, I'm going to miss her so much. She's going off to law school, but she is phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
With an introduction like that.
Yes. Yeah, don't flub it, Alina.
For heaven's sakes, Alina. Hi, who are you and where do you go to school?
Hi, I'm Alina. I graduated from Cornell last year. I've been with Allison for the last year, and I'm starting at Pepperdine in a few weeks.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Yeah.
So outside of working for Allison, what's an interesting fact about yourself?
I really love to experiment with cooking and recipes. When I went to college, when I had to cook for myself for the first time, I kind of got creative with it. So that's kind of something I like to do.
Oh, that's so cool.
I love that. I love that. And what kind of law are you going to study or what do you want to do?
I don't know yet. Hoping my first year will kind of help me figure that out, but I'm definitely going to explore and keep my options open.
And the cool thing about a law degree, Allison, right, is you don't necessarily have to apply it specifically like to be a criminal defense attorney or a contractual or a contract specialist. You could have any job and still have your law degree, and then that just is part of the expertise you bring to the table.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I've said to them really throughout is that, look, my world is criminal justice, but the thing about getting a law degree is that not only do you not need to declare a specialty, but once you have your bar, once you pass the bar and you're a licensed attorney, you can literally do any and all types of law. And so you don't have to limit yourself, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily have to even practice law, but you bring that expertise to the table. Let's say if you work for, a museum, for example, and you're somehow in some department and your law background lends great expertise. I love it. How exciting. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
How many more do we have, Allison? They're coming out of, how big is this room?
This is my tallest and our last.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, hello. Yes, so they're cutting off your headroom there.
So you can get your yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, there we go. Hello.
Yes.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, who are you?
My name's Brady, and I'm going to be a sophomore at UNC Chapel Hill.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Tell us an interesting fact about yourself.
For the last 8 years, I've worked with special needs kids, teach them how to play baseball and just teach them, giving them a experience that I had when I was younger.
Wow.
Wow. And
that's really incredible.
What drove you to do this, to find the time to do this?
I've played baseball since I was 3 years old. And I think I got injured my junior year of high school. I tore my UCL, so I couldn't play baseball anymore. And I think just understanding the experiences that I had prior to that, I just wanted to share the joy that I had with everybody.
Wow. My goodness, you're all so exceptional as human beings.
And what got you interested in the law?
Probably my grandfather. He's practiced law for over 50 years. And what's actually pretty interesting is that both him and Allison kind of share the same ideology, which is that everybody deserves legal help. You may judge defense attorneys for representing the murderers or representing other people in quite heinous cases, but you judge them when they represent somebody else. But when somebody or a friend or somebody in your family needs that help, it's quite nice to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. You always want someone to zealously defend you.
Can I say that was actually a really important thing that I wanted them to understand this summer is that, look, we're going to represent some guilty people. We're going to represent some bad people, but everybody deserves a defense. And I think that I think a lot of them really understood how important all people that work in the criminal justice system are, just to make our system of justice fair for everyone.
Yeah. Thank you so much and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. Allison, jump in the chair. Will, you stay? I think we're going to have to end this runaway podcast here.
Thank you guys for doing that. It means so much to me that they've gotten to experience an Anna Garcia and a Will podcast. Truly. I mean, you guys are the best at this.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for having them. This was such a nice little change of pace to the comment section. As always, you can reach out to us on social media at any time. We're at My True Crime News. That'll do it for me for this week. Until next week, don't do crime.
Right. Well, Allison, this was a huge surprise. Honestly, I had no idea you were showing up with an audience, but I'm so glad you did. You probably knew that I'd love it.
I said, look, Anna is, mostly pro-prosecution all of the time. But I respect her. I love her. And, she understands that without people like me, the system does not work. It doesn't work. And I respect law enforcement. I respect prosecutors. I have wonderful relationships with people in all areas. But you have to understand that without criminal defense attorneys, the system doesn't work.
No, anyone could be thrown in prison for anything. No, absolutely no. And that's the thing, Allison. I know that you care very, very deeply and you are really a good human being. You're loads of fun. Okay, Allison, where can people find you and follow you?
So obviously my law practice, Allison at Allison Treasel Law. I am the legal expert at KTLA. And stay tuned because there may be something really exciting in the works. And I can't wait to host you on something really exciting.
My God, I'm there. Do I have to bring students with me? I'll find some.
I want at least 20 people.
Well, I'll find a neighbor or something. I'll find someone to join me. You can find me at Anna G News with one N. You can find everything we do at My True Crime News. Subscribe to our newsletter and to our YouTube channel. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on today's podcast and this horrible, horrible crime and what you think about all the laws and the discussions about protecting young people on social media and all these platforms. Anyway, until next week, this is True Crime News, the podcast. I'm your host, Anna Garcia. Crime never stops, and neither do we.